Hello everyone, Lewis Crompton here, and this is not financial advice. When I was teaching for Rich Dad Education, aka Robert Kiyosaki, the Don, I was speaking at an event in South Africa, I think it was, and we had asked Robert what one piece of advice would he like to share with everybody that was at the event that day. And this is what he said: people know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And I was, to be honest, a little bit blown away, because how true and accurate that is. How often do I see that played out in the lives of my friends, in the lives of my family members, my acquaintances as well. But if you want to learn how to make more money, how to make it in less time, and to do money better, then make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you turn on those alerts as well. So what do we all do when we go shopping? Whether that be for clothes, whether that be for groceries at the supermarket, we look at items that we want and we do kind of like a mental calculation. We think, can I afford that? Do I have enough money in my bank account for that item or items? Do I have enough space on my credit card for that? Some of you may be asking. Now, those are the questions we ask ourselves rather than the important questions, like, is this item going to add value to my life? Am I going to get sufficient use or joy out of this item? Is this item going to make me any money or just take money away from me? Some slightly different questions there that we might want to be asking. Now, obviously, you should be able to afford it. That's a given. However, just because you can afford something doesn't mean you should buy it. For example, I absolutely love a Chinese takeaway, to the point where I actually think I'm a little bit addicted, marginally obsessed, and I'm thinking about it even now for dinner. And I think about getting a Chinese delivery to my house pretty much every day at the moment. I don't know what's going on, I just love it. And I'm in a position where I can afford that. However, should I afford that? Should I put my money in that direction repeatedly, over and over, just because I can, just because I have a desire for it, just because I keep telling myself I deserve it, because I've worked hard for it, I've been working all day, I deserve a Chinese takeaway? Do I? Now, what I have done there is just expose the mindset, or rather the madness that goes on in my own head, the mental gymnastics that I have to perform every single day just around Chinese food. The question you need to start asking yourself is the question that successful investors and people who are smart with their money ask themselves on a daily basis. So once we answer the question of, can I afford this? The next question is, what value does this purchase add to my life? The question is, how will this decision, this investment, this purchase, impact the rest of my life? In the past, I've actually had to make decisions on things I could not afford at the time. When I first decided to get into investing, the way that I decided to go about it was through trading. Mainly because it was tax-free, it made my money work harder than I had to work in order to get it in the first place. It wouldn't take up too much of my day, and it was not going to impact my life too much either, and I could be anywhere in the world. However, to get access to that knowledge, access to that information, and access to that support, it had a hefty price tag attached. To be exact, the price tag was over half of my annual salary. Did I tell myself I couldn't afford it? Of course I did, initially. The other thing that was going through my head at the time was the realization of how valuable that knowledge was going to be for me. I could see how if I knew the right way, the safe way, the profitable way to trade the financial markets, that I would create a whole new life, and the money that I paid for that education, for that knowledge, would become insignificant. So I had a choice to make. Will I look just at the price, or will I look at the value? I decided in that moment to look at the value, not just the price or the cost. In that moment, I became an investor, a scared, terrified investor, but also an investor that had now gone all in and now had to make this work. I had asked to borrow money from friends, I'd asked to borrow money from my parents, but at that stage, none of them could help me. So I had to go to the bank instead. I took out 2 credit cards and I took out a personal loan as well. I took more than I technically needed so that I could use that loan to start paying down the repayments, so I had a bit of a buffer while I learned the skill of actually trading. So I bought myself a bit of a buffer period. That investment put a fire in my belly to make this work, so I worked hard. This is part of the reason why I don't give anymore what I know to people for free, because they just don't value it. When they don't invest into it, they aren't committed, they just don't value it and make the most of it. Now I've watched that dynamic play out over and over again. As a result of my decision, I was able to leave my job in 7 months, start trading full-time, traveling the world, and I have never looked back. If I had only looked at the price, the cost, and not the value, I never would have taken action and moved forward with my journey to start creating the life that I wanted, the life that I now have. If I hadn't have taken action that day, 9 and a bit years ago, I wouldn't have been traveling all over the world and seen the amazing places I have. I wouldn't have met the incredible people that I have. I would probably be a bit depressed, stuck in a corporate job, questioning my life. I wouldn't have discovered my true passions. I wouldn't have helped people trade their way out of debt as well. I wouldn't have been able to inspire other people to cultivate financial peace, financial stability, and pursue a life of passion. I would never have met Robert Kiyosaki in Cape Town, and I would never have spoken on stage in front of thousands of people about my journey to successful investing. When you start to look at your spending as an investor, when you start to identify value rather than just cost, everything changes for you. So back to my Chinese. Am I getting one tonight or not? Time will tell. Is buying a Chinese every night just because you can good value? Does it add to my life? Does it lead to more money, to me making more money? No, it doesn't. Every now and then, having a Chinese takeaway or a splurge is fine. Every night, though, would have a negative effect on my health. It would have a negative effect on my mood and on my motivation. It would have a negative effect on my future finances. There is a fantastic book, actually, called The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, I would highly, highly recommend this book to every single person watching this video. The premise of this book is really that the wealthiest person is not the person who earns the most. The wealthiest person is the person who keeps the most money. It's not about just making it, you have to keep it and maintain it. The reason I believe in that principle is because the wealthiest people I know are all investors. If you have a great career with a fantastic income, then how are you putting that money to work for you now? After you've made it, what's it then doing? How are you establishing a base for your future? How are you creating a financial legacy for your family, for your loved ones after you are gone? Because that comes for all of us. Now, I've never had an incredible salary from a job, but I have managed to create a financial foundation that I can pass on to my kids and that they can then pass on to their kids. Not just assets, but also skills and knowledge. So start thinking like an investor. Look at what value your spending is bringing to you. If it isn't boosting your health, if it isn't boosting your wealth and your happiness, then consider keeping that money in your pocket just for now. We are all investors, we just don't realize it. Every pound that you spend will bring you either more or less of something. So spend wisely. And if you want to learn more about how to do money better, how to make more of it in less time, then make sure you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you turn on those alerts to know when the next videos are coming out. My name is Lewis Crompton, and this is not financial advice.